You should be looking for opportunities to do how-to videos. How to balance the humidity in my house during the winter so my piano doesn't go out of tune. I don't care what it is. People how-to video everything. How many people have how-to'd a video in the last 7 days? Tell me what did you how-to?
In the last 7 days, no.
Or in the ever? What did you how-to?
How to edit videos.
How to edit videos.
Workout videos.
How to work out, how to do yoga, how to breathe, how to nostril breathe. I did a how-to nostril breathe search. It was hilarious, right? How to do nostril breathing so I can calm down and not want to kill the person in front of me. You'd love that one, Jeff, actually.
Yeah.
You should Google that too.
I have a problem in my shower, so how to fix the arm.
Right? Okay, let's get a raise of hands again. How many people have ever downloaded a how-to video? Almost everybody. But yet, if I'm a consumer and I'm going on YouTube looking how to photograph my house, how to sell my house in Toronto, how to sell my condo, how to get the best price for my house, you see how I think is how I search, right? How I think is how I search. So when you're uploading video content to YouTube, you need to make sure that you index your video correctly and include all those keywords so that people can find it. So some of the things you have to make sure you include in there so you get the right audience is how to do it in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Because if I Google how to sell my house in Aurora, I get Aurora, Colorado. I don't get Aurora, Ontario, Canada, for example. Does everybody follow? Yep. So are you marketing in the year that we live in? You said you were, but nobody showed up when I did that search. So I'm going to say you're not. Would that be fair? We think we are, but we're not using Facebook dark posting. We're not using the power of YouTube with how people are thinking and how people are living today. People live on Google and YouTube a lot. When they want to know how to do something, the new training, the neural pathways of the brain of the last 2 generations are digital. The last 2 generations walking this earth right now have neuro-linguistic pathway for technology. Now, the boomers didn't. They've acquired it, those that are interested in technology. But we have 2 living generations of people that will go to a phone to answer a question. They will go to a phone to get directions. They'll go to a Yelp app to find out the best restaurant in town. Before they book a hotel, they're looking for reviews online, which is another marketing. Reviews. I tried to look for people for reviews. Less than 5% of real estate agents are even searchable for reviews. I can't find reviews on 5% of the real estate agents in Toronto. I mean, I'm sure that's got to have an impact on their business because I do look for reviews. How many people here look for reviews before they buy a good or a service? Most of you. How many people here actually appear on a review site and actually show other people what a review of working with you looks like? Nobody. Do you see where I'm going with marketing? Things have changed. We have not made an adequate shift with the changes that are taking place. And so my role here today is to just give you a bit of a paradigm shift, to disturb the prospect, which is you, to offer you a solution so that you can make some shifts and changes in your business and stay relevant. Does that make sense? So reviews are huge. What else is marketing? I don't even need my slideshow. I can run this whole course off the old-fashioned pen and paper. I can. I don't need technology for this. It's better without it sometimes. It's distracting.
Referrals when people speak about you.
Right. How many people have got one idea already? Don't feel peer pressure. Oh, I better say I have. So most of you have one thing. Make sure you write that one thing down because that's your actionable item. If where we are, so we're half an hour in, your brains are still firing. They're going to shut off really soon. I'll try to make sure they don't, but now like you guys are already exhausted because you've been listening for half an hour. Remember, like 10 years ago, you could sit in a classroom for an entire day and be engaged. Today, it's like 15 minutes. Like, is this going to be over soon? We have ADD, right? So when you're making videos and you're doing how-to videos, my best advice to you is to keep them short. Keep them really, really short. But how-to videos are amazing. And Cameron is going to touch on this a little bit. It's so funny because he was the guest speaker this morning at Yonge Street, and I was talking about YouTube videos, and then he actually got up and ran with it, and that was part of his content, and I didn't even know. So he's going to share some ideas with you when he comes on in half an hour.
Where do we get phone covers?
Sorry?
Where do we get
From Cameron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's going to come in and show you the samples, and he's not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's one of those things that here it is, here's the guy, figure it out. That's as much classroom time as we're going to get on that. Does that make sense? Because, I mean, really, it's a product. You either like it or you don't. You want it or you don't. Like, that's it. Done. Okay? There's more important things to talk about here. All right, let's get in. I should probably get into my slideshow a little bit. So we'll talk about, we already talked about congruency. I want you to look at some bad marketing. I want you to see some good marketing, and I'm going to explain to you what the differences are. I had one of my newer agents come up to me yesterday with a letter that she wanted to send out to her database. Oh, yes. So tell us about that. You showed me a letter. Tell me how I coached you on marketing, because that's marketing.
Well, you told me what was important, shorten it, because it was too lengthy, and to put what people want, like right at the top, not my picture necessarily. And
Can I be honest, guys? I love you, but most of your marketing sucks. Love you. Saying this from the heart. Most real estate agent marketing sucks. You can tell they don't teach marketing at AREA. I can also tell they don't teach negotiating, but that's another class. So they don't teach marketing at AREA, do they? Yes or no?
No.
How many people are newly licensed? I mean, you know enough to be dangerous and a little bit to stay out of trouble, but they didn't teach you how to market. They didn't teach you how, I know, I used to teach the courses, right? I taught phase 2 and 3 for years. So how are you supposed to know? So don't feel bad, because if you didn't take training anywhere else, then how would you know? And if you are brand new in the business, you don't have the budget to hire a branding company like I did and throw $40,000 at it and let someone else do it. And that's what I did. I'm like, I need this, 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 and this. I need it by this date. How much? Okay, good. I wrote a check. See you later. Like, just do it. I don't have time. I'm selling real estate. I'm busy. When you're new, you don't have that kind of money, yes? Even if you've been around a while, you might not want to part with that kind of money, yes? You can do it for a lot less money than I did. There's other options that are out there now that are way less expensive, where you can get everything congruent in your marketing, where you're not doing it. I know you're a tech-tard. That's my term. I coined it about 8 years ago. It's mine. I wish I could, trademark it. I know you're a tech-tard if you put pictures on the MLS or you have a banner on your Facebook page and it's like stretched and out of proportion. How many people have taken a perfectly good picture on your hard drive and uploaded it to something and it doesn't turn out the same? And you go, I don't know how to fix that, so you leave it. Is that a pump it or dump it for marketing?
Dump
That's
it.
a dump it. But come on, how many people have done it? Be honest. Come on. Oh, you guys are liars. Only 2 people? Bull. I know you've all done it at one time or another. You quickly uploaded something. It didn't look good. You left it. Come on. No, I didn't. All right, nobody wants to play? All right.
I'm sorry, Barbara. These marketing companies, so how we can choose them? There are lots of them. So when we don't know the marketing, so they're all, they're advertising for themselves because they are in marketing. But how we can choose these marketing companies?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion on the RE/MAX Hallmark networking page. There's been a ton of really good graphic designers that have been recommended. You can go online and actually fire out your ideas and have people bid on your job. What is that site called? Fiverr. Thank you.
we're 99 designs.
99 Designs. There's a lot of various companies. I hired a branding house because I didn't want to take the time to do the shopping. Because look at their portfolio, get personal referrals. That's how a lot of it goes, right? It's personal referrals. The other thing, how I found mine is, I mean, not that I'm lazy, but I'm into efficiency. I'm busy. You're busy. It needs to be efficient. I found a real estate agent that I really liked. I loved her marketing. It was clean, it was fresh, it was honest, it was sexy, it was great. I loved it. And I called her and I said, who did you use? And that's how I found the guy. Simple. I didn't do any searching on Google. I got a personal referral based on modeling. Tony Robbins talks about modeling all the time. If you want to do something, learn a new skill, figure something out, find somebody else that's already done it, model them, call them, ask to be mentored by them, get a recommendation, get a referral. That's the easiest, fastest way. It's a form of coaching, right? It just makes things happen that much faster for you. That was how I did it. So, go online and have a look at marketing and find somebody that you like and just phone them up and say, who did you use? Ideally, somebody out of your market. Ideally, lead with a giving hand. Hey, Barb Brindle, calling from Remax Hallmark in Aurora. I noticed that you're out in Nanaimo, BC. I'm looking for a referral partner. I'd like to use you whenever I have someone coming out to Nanaimo, BC, because I've been looking at people in your area, and what jumped out at me the most was your marketing. You rock. By the way, who did you use? Right? It's all in the pitch, people, right? It's all in the pitch. It's all in the spin. If I want something from somebody and I show up and I want it, how does that occur to you? Hey, here's my card. If you're ever thinking about buying or selling real estate, call me. Ugh. I hate it when people do that. Who likes that? Nobody likes that, but that's what we do. Or we'll go to a networking event and we'll have like 6 cards in our briefcase, and we'll just think that it's a marathon, that we need to give out as many cards as possible at a REMAX event. How about go to a REMAX event and make 5 really good connections? That's way more effective. Meet 5 people. At Yonge Street, I had the very first meeting of the year. I had a Tabata class. Who was there? Who was there for my Tabata class? Do you remember when she did the little introduction, where she had you guys talking to someone else for 10 seconds with a guided conversation, how you got to know something about somebody in the office that you actually didn't know before? That's what you want to do to be effective. So marketing can be as simple as, I used to have 4 different types of business cards. Depending on where I was going would be the type of card that I would take with me. Because quite honestly, my audience, if I'm talking to another realtor, is very different than if I'm talking to a consumer. My audience, if I'm talking to a business to business, is very different than if I'm talking to another real estate agent or a consumer. When I'm going out showing property to my buyer and I'm leaving my business card at a seller's house, that's a very different message too. Everything is a marketing opportunity. We think one-dimensionally. We need to open that sucker up a little bit. Open it up a little bit and think about other ways that you can get messages through to people. I used to get listings because of the brochures that I did, right? And for those of you that have taken my classes before, you know I always say shameless self-promotion on everything. Who's heard me say that before? Shameless self-promotion on everything. Because I'll tell you, 5 years from now, when the buyer that just bought this house through Ravi goes to sell it and pulls out all his house documents and sees my brochure, he's going to think I sold him the house and forget all about Ravi. Right? It happens. No, it's not going to happen to you, because Ravi stayed in touch with them for the last 7 years, but most real estate agents orphan their clients after they get paid. And that's a true story. I didn't make that up. Most real estate agents orphan their clients. So it wouldn't happen with Ravi, but a lot of consumers will think that the person on the brochure for the house they just bought is the person that sold it to them because their realtor orphaned them. That's an example of marketing. Very easy one. So if everything's a marketing opportunity, you guys are going to think a little bit differently when you leave here today, right? Everything's a marketing opportunity. I had a vehicle wrapped that I used to have sit at strategic locations as a second vehicle. I wasn't even in it, okay? I would arrange a ride for my kid to go drop me off so I could leave the car at a strategic location, in a Starbucks thing, wherever, because I wanted the promotion. Duh. If it was a street festival, or if it was there was always really big events going down on the lake shore, my car was always there. I wasn't, but my car was there. It's a driving billboard. My car was everywhere. Everybody's like, oh, I see your car everywhere. I never even drove that car. I never drove that car. That car was a business deduction. It was, do you know how expensive billboards cost? They're a lot of money. I'm like, for the price of a billboard, I can buy a car, have it wrapped, and float it around town. Duh. That's what I did. And I got a lot of marketing money out of that car. So it was down at the lakeshore whenever there was an event, the jazz festival going on downtown, whatever was going on in my city where there was going to be gobs and gobs of people, they saw my car. And then people would say to me, I see you everywhere, but I'm not everywhere. That's marketing. Marketing is perception, not reality. It's all about perception, okay? Daniel Tajera, I had him come last year as a guest speaker. Unfortunately, he is too busy to attend guest speaking events, but that's my branding guy. So if you want to know who did my branding, he's not cheap. I'll tell you that right now. He's expensive, but he's really good.
The folks who did the Hallmark stuff did a pretty good
They
job.
did a phenomenal job as well. There's a lot of really, really good companies out there. I was impatient, I was in a hurry, and I got a referral and I did it, right? So, but there's lots and lots of options out there, but that's one. Let's talk about congruency. I think I've covered a lot of this stuff already. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything has to look the same. Your YouTube channel, you know, there's a place for a photo on your YouTube channel as well. A lot of people don't even upload a photo to their YouTube channel. Remember, everything that you have that has a password, if there's an opportunity for you to brand it, brand it. Brand it with your message, brand it with your colors. I think the Remax colors are very, very powerful because you can have your Remax colors in your branding and people will automatically know you're a real estate agent. But if you're one of these, you know, people that like to have things in turquoise and you decide you want to do your branding in turquoise, I mean, that's fine. But just understand you're going to have to spend a little bit more money having the consumer understand that turquoise is related to real estate. Remax has already spent billions and billions of dollars that it's already in the consumer's mind. When they see red, white, and blue, what do they think? Remax. So use that because there's a lot of money already been thrown at that, right? Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking of doing some videos on stuff topics that I like to do, meaning like barbecuing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you tie it in? Am I dressed up in Remax garb, a chef's hat, or like what? How would you?
There's a million ways. You can watermark it. It could be on your profile page. I mean, you don't have to like wear Remax
them over the
clothing, but there's tons of ways, right?
Yeah.
Where the pen?
You could do. There's something called what's the word for the intro graphic thing?
Chiron?
Whatever it
That's
is,
the
right?
technical
Being
term.
like Dell or whatever, like Duracell, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
If the whole ad is not Duracell and it ends with that, you know, so just put a Remax logo at the start and the end. That's what I would do.
Conclusion, yeah.
I like that. You just tied in sound because
Look at you.
when you, that's really, really good. And I just want to touch on that because that's a key marketing phenomenon is when you, everybody remembers where they were at 9/11, right? Does everybody remember 9/11? Everybody remembers exactly where they were. Why? Because it was emotional. There was an emotional response. And the most effective marketing that we can do will have emotional response related to it. It will invoke an emotion in a consumer. And if you can invoke an emotion in a consumer, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be tragic, it could be funny, it could be whatever. But if it invokes emotion, people remember it. Where were you on September 10th? Nobody knows. But everybody remembers September 11th because there was emotion. And emotion will anchor memory. And sound is actually, if you can combine sound with a visual, that has a better chance to create emotion for people. So when you're looking at marketing and you look at why do I really like that, chances are it's got good visual, it's got good auditory, and it's got the sound. So the visual and the auditory, and if you can get kinesthetic in there as well, even better, right? Because then you're catching everybody, right? Website, feature sheets, white space for sale signs. I see a lot of very busy marketing. Oh my gosh, too busy. So less is more. And I think that's what we did with yours, Sarah, is I went, this is great. And here's the thing. There's a great book called Brief, which talks about the importance of saying less, right? Because when we're in a hurry, We could write like a big long email. Have you ever been in a hurry and you write like a big long email and somewhere in there is a frickin' message? I know, because you send them to me on a regular basis. Like, is there a question coming? That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, I want to send you the link to the word brief.
She did.
I don't need the story, I just need the question, okay? I can answer it way more efficiently if I don't have to read a book. Consumers think this too, okay? I'm being real with you right now. I'm being transparent with you. Please don't be insulted. I love what I do, and I'll read your frickin' book when I have time.
She's walking out.
And I will answer your question, but if the longer it is, the longer it's going to take for me to get back to you. Because I got to read it. Do you know what I mean? So Marketing 101 is be brief. So what we did with Sarah's, and Sarah, not to pick on you, you're new in the industry, and it was a great letter. There was some great messages in there, but it was clouded and lost with stuff that can still be said, but somewhere else on another platform, right? So we took the letter and we went, what's the most important thing here? AIDA. This is all you need to remember when you're doing any kind of a marketing piece. Remember AIDA and WIIFM. And just remember this, nobody cares about you until you care about them. Until they have a connection with you and you have rapport, nobody cares. Nobody cares. You've got to earn the right for people to want to be involved, to know that, you play the flute, you play the piano, you do this, you do that, da-da-da-da-da-da. Until they're related to you, none of that matters. But if you're giving away a prize for $10,000, check mark. That goes into the what's in it for me. And if you're giving away something of value that's of value to them and you've niche marketed it properly, then you've met the WIIFM, what's in it for me. AIDA is attention, interest, desire, and action. Does your marketing attract attention? Does it maintain interest? And if it's too long, it doesn't. We're clear on that one, right? Does it create a desire for me? This is where we get into the visual, the audio, the kinesthetic. And is there a call to action that makes it easy for me to get in touch with you, right? Easy to get in touch with you means if it's a digital marketing thing, that there's a button that says, would you like to chat with me now? I don't see a lot of real estate agents. There's a couple that actually have a live chat button on their website. And why they have a live chat button on their website is once they've finally get somebody to go to their website, they want to be accessible and they want to grab people. So there's a live chat button. There's a few in the US that have it. I haven't seen very many in Canada, but the few in the US that are doing it are attracting people that want to talk about real estate right now. Does anybody here want to talk to a consumer about real estate right now? So maybe consider having a live chat button on your website. I don't know, it's a thought. It's not expensive technology at all. It's inexpensive technology, but it's going to create engagement with consumers. And again, it's cutting edge kind of stuff where there's not a lot of people doing it. Manning it can be a little bit tricky, but it's totally doable. Has anybody ever used a live chat on a website before? How many people here have gone on a website? What did you think?
Amazing.
It was cool. Why was it cool? Because I'm getting what I want when I want it. And isn't that what consumers want today?
Yes.
So marketing is all about giving consumers what they want when they want it. So live chat on your website. Do we have that on ours yet? Would you like to chat with a manager about coming to work at RE/MAX Hallmark? Like right now? Right? I'll man that. Okay, where are we now? Colors. The colors that you use are very important. Your photo is very important. There's a lot of really bad real estate photos out there, people. Can we talk? Not only are they bad, but they're misrepresenting. I've seen photos of real estate agents where I've looked them up online, and then they come into it for an interview, and I'm like,
Where's the person?
where's your daughter? Where's your daughter? Like, I didn't realize the mother was coming to the interview, and that's her, right? How old is your picture? Like, really, your picture shouldn't be that old. Like, mine is 4 years old, and I'm getting a new one because, I'm sorry, ladies, but after 40, you need to update your photo more regularly because you age faster. This is just something I've learned. So I need to get a new photo because 4 years is like, you know what? When I have people coming into my office going, wow, you look really young, I want to kill them. But aside from wanting to kill them, I realize my photo's out of date. Right? All right. Laws of marketing. So there's a couple of really good marketing books. They're older, they were written in the 90s, but a lot of the principles apply, and I've pulled some out to talk to you about. And one of them is called Differentiate or Die, and it's by Al Ries and Jack Trout. Phenomenal, phenomenal book. And it talks about how differentiating yourself in the market, how important that is. It's a phenomenal book. He also wrote The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, same author. And there's another one. If you just look up Jack Trout and Al Ries, R-E-I-S, you'll get a whole collage of books that they've written on marketing, and they are the authority, in my opinion, on marketing. Great principles. But it's better to be first in the mind than to be first in the marketplace, and this has been proven over and over again where people will release a product or a service ahead of everybody else because of the principle that it's more important to be first than it is to be better. First person to the market is absolutely critical. So if you have something new, like the 3D branding on the phone that Cameron's going to talk about, and the 3D and the branding, the skinning of the laptops, there's not a lot of agents that are using that marketing right now. That's called first to market. It's better to be first than it is to be better. Eventually, that idea will be ruined, like every other idea that marketers have come up with. It used to be effective to do email marketing back in the 90s. Click-through open rates were 80%. Now, forget it. It used to be effective to communicate with people by text message, but even that's getting people are ignoring text messaging today. It's really interesting. Like if you call a millennial on the telephone, they don't pick it up. I talked to my mom last night. She's like, I tried to call Kevin to congratulate him for getting accepted to university, and he didn't pick up the phone. I'm like, Ma, he's 17. He'll never pick up the phone. They don't pick up the phone. Like, they just don't. I said, maybe when he comes back to my house, I'll program your phone number in his phone so he knows it's you, and maybe he'll pick it up. Maybe. Maybe. If he knows it's you, he might pick it up, but if the phone rings, they don't even hear it. They don't listen. They don't answer the phone. But text them, and that little ding goes off, that they pay attention to, right? So it's better to be first than in the marketplace. Follow the law of perception. Perception is reality in the eye of the consumer. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. It's all about perception. So if my perception is that when I go to this particular website, I'm going to have a great experience, and even though it's not a great website and it doesn't have information, that's where consumers will go. And Zoocasa was a good example of that. The information on that website was extremely out of date. It was hard to navigate. It wasn't a great website. But there was a perception that that was a good place to be because if you went there, you got a rebate. That was the perception. And they were first to market with rebate. And there's still residual aftershock with rebate in the marketplace today because of it. They were a market interrupter. They disrupted the marketplace. And there's been ripple effect ever since, even though they're gone. Like they went out of business, right? Redpin's now doing it, and they have a different model. When a new player comes into market, the most important thing for you to do is to research the player, understand who they are, so that when you're sitting with your consumer, you can speak about it intelligently. Like to be able to sit down and say to a consumer who says to me, Barb, I'd like you to give me a rebate, to be able to say, well, actually, I don't give rebates, and I know where you got that idea, because that idea came from Zoocasa. They actually went out of business because it's not a sustainable model. If it was, they would still be in business. They're out of business. So if there's anyone out there in the marketplace still offering rebates, probably they're offering rebates because they don't sell a lot of real estate, right? So maybe what you want to do is you want to ask them, how many houses did they sell last year? Because maybe what you're hearing is desperation rather than a marketing ploy or a bait and switch marketing tactic or whatever the case may be. But what I know is really good real estate agents out in the business don't give rebates. And I speak from my limited experience. My limited experience is I sign payroll for a tiny little office, and I sign everybody's check. And I don't sign any of those checks. So it's a small market sample, but it's relevant, right? I don't sign any rebate checks. Nobody rebates in my office. Nobody. Ever.
You were being sarcastic about little office, or?
Yeah, it's a little office. I only have like 60 people in Aurora. right?
Oh, okay.
Right.
I think you meant this company.
I don't do everybody's paycheck in the whole company. I just do one little office. Where are we? You do have to blast your way into people's minds because marketing stuff comes at you all day long. And here's the other risk. Once people perceive you one way, that's it. People don't like to change their minds. So you have to be careful what you plant out there, which is why I love multiple website strategies, which is why I really like stealth marketing strategies. Stealth marketing strategies are the bomb. I used to have my regular website, barbarabrindle.com, and then I had umpteen other websites depending on who my audience was. Most people didn't even know I did that because I didn't have that website on my business card. That website didn't belong, barbarabrindle.com or thewiseadvisors.com, condosinbarrie.com, bungalowsinbarrie.com, I mean ad infinitum. I had a lot of different websites for a lot of different things, and they were only for target marketing, a specific demographic, geographic, or type of thing that I was looking to market and fish to in the marketplace. So, you know, multiple streams out there is good. Like, it's beautiful that we have that opportunity with the advent of GoDaddy. You can buy a website for $9.99. A lot of realtors only have one website, and that's cool when you're new if that's how you're getting up and getting started, but just start to think about as you're growing and you want to start implementing new things into your business, start looking at other ways to have an online presence and to have online streaming. For those of you, I've said this before, what was that website? I just talked about it recently, thevillageguru.com, my favorite real estate website of all time. And it's the guy, he's not even a RE/MAX guy, but he gets it. He gets it because it's a website built for the consumer, and he's done the same thing I've done. You'd never find that website if you didn't know it was there, because it's a consumer branded website. It's built for the consumer. And you'll find it if you're Google searching. If you're Google searching, you know, what are the ratings of neighborhoods in Oakville? What are the ratings of neighborhoods in Mississauga? You'll get his site, thevillageguru.com, but you'll never see it on his business card. You won't see it on his for sale sign. You won't see it anywhere else. It's a brilliant website. He actually rates neighborhoods. He's taken the time to go out and investigate. I mean, it's years and years of work probably to get him to the stage that he's at, but he's a really, really good example of a good online marketing strategy, and he's got the principles of marketing down pat. And he's incorporated video. It's a if you want a good example of marketing online stuff, that's a really good one. Thevillageguru.com, I think. Has anybody looked it up yet? Probably somebody already has. Is that the right site? Yeah. Is that the right one? Yeah. Very, very cool. I would have a bookmark and have a look at that later. What's that? You're already there. I know there's going to be somebody in the class that's like, I'm that person when I'm a student. I have ADD, right? Like, I'm not listening to you anymore. You gave me something cool. Now I'm on that, right? All right. What else? The best service does not win. The best perception does. Isn't that interesting? It's true. There are no facts. There's no best service. All that exists in the mind of the customer is their perception. Everything else is an illusion. You better believe this. So when we come into a space and we say we're the best at this, or we're number one, or we're this, or we're that, we need to first know what their perception is of real estate agents, which is why it's really important to be very good at asking questions. When I sit down with a consumer for the first time, I want to know, when's the last time they bought or sold real estate? How did that go? What's their interpretation of the real estate experience? Imagine we were having this conversation 6 months from now. What has to happen for you to feel like this was a really good experience? That's how I delve into their perception. And if you're not doing that, then you're missing this. Does everybody get that? Can I say that question to you again? Because it's so important. In fact, for those of you that are single, you could actually use this question, or even if you're not single, this is a really good question to ask your partner. Imagine we were having this conversation 1 year from today. What would have to happen for you to feel like we're on the right track? It's a good question. It's a pattern interrupt question. It gets people to actually think about the future, and here's what you're going to learn. If they can't come up with anything, you're not going to be there in a year. It's not rocket science. You're asking people to go into the future, to think about something. That's a really, really cool thing to do. It's a neurolinguistic programming kind of stuff. It's very interesting. So imagine we're having this conversation 6 months from now, Mr. Consumer. What would have to happen for you to feel like you had a really good real estate experience and then shut up? I know that's hard. We're in sales. I get how difficult that is for certain personality types as well. If you're a high I on the Richter scale, then this is going to be work for you. You'll have to practice, right? 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them proportionately. This is really key. So people will tell you how to market to them. You just have to listen, okay? Most marketing mistakes stem from the assumption that you're fighting a product or service and that the battle is rooted in reality, and that's where people make the mistake. You guys think you're marketing in the real world, and you're not. You're marketing people's perceptions. So get into the perception of the consumer, and that's where you market from.
What do you mean when you say that?
The perception of the what is an example of the perception of the consumer today in Toronto?
Realtors make too much money.
That's a perception. That's a great perception to market to. How would I market to that? I would actually show them stats and statistics to show them that the average real estate agent is a homeless person. The average real estate agent,
We sell homes, we just don't live in them.
the average real estate agent is a homeless person that qualifies for welfare. You think I'm joking? I am not joking. So we have to start marketing perception. So if you want to change somebody's perception, you have to give them information that opens up that door that has them see what's true. Because right now, what's true for them is their perception. You get it.
And it disturbs their perception.
It disturbs
Which
their
allows you
perception.
to have, that little inch that you need with the door slightly open.
Exactly.
Hard to see.
Like, I would love to do a video on that. Like, I would like to do a video on perception, myth, reality, myth, reality, myth, reality, and just do a 2-minute video and put it on YouTube and just let her go about all the perceptions that are out there in the marketplace today that are absolutely not true. How many people here are frustrated with stuff that people think that aren't true? Right? Real estate agents make too much money. What else? Every house sells. What else?
Anyone can sell a house.
Anyone can sell a house. Love it. So those are perceptions not rooted in reality, but you're marketing to reality. And you wonder why it doesn't work. You can't market to reality, you have to market to perception. Does that make sense? Does everybody get that?
There's an actress in Hollywood, I can't remember her name, blonde. She does lots of videos on Realtor.com to dispel the myths and rumors, and they're all
Yeah,
over
I've
TV.
seen those too.
She was in One Night's No.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Alba?
No, blonde.
No,
I don't remember
they're
her.
newer.
We can win.
So here's the interesting thing with human behavior too, is if you're able to get someone to look at their own perception and shift it, now they want to meet you.
Elizabeth Banks.
That's the one.
Elizabeth Banks. Now they want to meet you. So if you're the real estate agent that does the perception myth, this is myth, this is reality, this is myth, this is reality. Like there's some panic going on. There was before the Bank of Canada released that they're holding rates, but there's still talk that rates are going to go up and da-da-da-da-da. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there that's affecting people's perceptions. The other big thing that affects people's perceptions is what they read in the newspaper and what they watch on television. And remember that what they read in the newspaper and what they watch on television, most of it's generalization. And what I mean by that is they're getting general market information that the market's gone up, and we get it too. Thomas Cook does those stats where it shows new market, 16% increase. But to the house over here in the neighborhood that has a high rate of break and enters, and it's not a great neighborhood, prices haven't gone up 16% in that neighborhood. So it's the real estate agent that goes in and uses the 16% that goes in and overprices that house and says, yes, Mr. Consumer, you're in Aurora Heights. Your house has gone up 16% since last year. This is what the newspaper says. This is what the Toronto Real Estate Board statistics say. This is what this statistic says. And then he gets an overpriced listing because that house hasn't gone up 16%. But remember, the consumer's perception is that it is because he's basing it on what he's read. Now, if you want to go in there and get a properly priced listing and be the expert, here's what you need to do. You need to change their perception. But you have to understand where the perception came from. The perception came from all of this noise that they're listening to. Like, look, people think that houses, when you walk into them, are going to look like Home and Garden Television. Where does that perception come from? They watch too much TV. They think that the house should look like Home and Garden Television, and that's not the reality, right? So when I go into this appointment, I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you've probably heard your house has gone up 16%. I'm here to tell you, it hasn't. But I'll bet you've heard that, and I'll bet I know where you heard it. I bet someone's come in and shown you this particular statistic, and they've blanketed you to thinking that that applies to you. Let me pull out some relevant information to you that actually deals with your specific area. There's been 6 properties sell in your specific area in the last 6 months. This is what they sold for, and it's actually only gone up 4% in your area. Here's where 16% comes from, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. They take every single property that's sold in this town and they blend them all together and they come up with this average. Well, I'm here to tell you that 3 properties that sold last year were over $5 million, and that's what threw out the average. 3 sales threw out the average. Does this happen? Am I speaking truth here? So now I'm speaking into reality, but first I acknowledged the perception. You have to acknowledge the perception first if you want to have a marketing idea based in reality. Okay?
This is just probably a great time too to tie in about that stat course that you'd recommended. Because again, what
Yeah,
you're saying,
nice
all
and loud.
sounds like no wonder Barb can say that, you know, she's has all this experience, but you too can be fairly cocky with the way that you talk about your stats. If you take the stats course, $45.10 at Trev. Newmarket or in town, but it's a really well spent 3 hours, 2-3 hours.
The statistics course, if you haven't already taken it at Treb, you should. You know, most of you have taken the all-day Treb training. It doesn't cover the stats. So if you think you know stats and you've never taken the stats course, take it because you'll learn something 100%.
Different way to map out areas.
Yeah. Most powerful concept in marketing is owning a word. Kleenex owns a word. You burn your way into their mind. You can't stand for something if you chase after everything. I love this one. The generalist in real estate is dead. The generalist died right around 1997. There was a funeral. You missed it. That was a joke. Okay, everybody get up. You're dying here. Get up, get up, get up. Move around. Move around.
Turn towards your left. Give him a massage. Turn the person to your
Massage. I know it's getting warm in here, right? Let's go complain to Shant. Shant, we're dying. Okay, just move around a little bit. Reach up. Anybody do yoga? You could do the tree. Do the tree pose, okay? Do a yoga move. Don't molest your neighbor, okay? It's too hot in here. We're dying.
One person is allowed to complain about the heat.
It's me.
She's in the front.
It's warm. I'm complaining.
It's too hot, says the lady wearing a winter jacket.
I got my jacket on too.
Do you believe it?
I'm dying.
I'm like, too many, some of you were like,
I'm getting ready for the AC to come on.
Okay, is that better?
Way better.
Just whack yourself on the face if you need to. That works as well. So you can't stand for something if you chase after everything, and this is so true, right? You can't, which is why I talked about marketing in different channels, having various websites, having different things that way. You know, the people that are doing really, really well in the marketplace today, there's a lot of specialists out there. You know, if I was looking to buy a condo in a specific area and there was a specialist that specialized in working in that area with condos, and I'm a consumer, I'm going to seek out the specialist with the added knowledge before I'm going to take my buddy or my friend who just happens to have a real estate license. Having a real estate license isn't enough. So think from a consumer standpoint, what's important to a consumer, remembering that it's all about them, because they are only tuned in to the What's in It for Me channel. And remember, you're a consumer, you do the same thing. Right? It's not always price. I want to move on here. The law of sacrifice. Sometimes you have to give up. Sacrifice the cheapskate customers and focus on the red velvet rope policy. Sometimes, you know, you're not going to be for everybody. You'll get to a point in your career, and I know that there's new people here, and it's not going to apply to you yet. You need to get there, but when you're new, you need to just take on everything and everyone and figure out what you like, what you don't like. You're still in the learning part of your career, but for those of you that have been around for 8 years plus, you're getting into, and you've done some good numbers, you're getting into a period in your career where you can start to become selective. And that's a really cool place to be able to walk into a listing appointment and say, you know what, really great to meet you, but I don't think we're a good fit. I know somebody that would really be a good fit for you. If you'd like, I can refer them to you. That's a really great, that's called the Red Velvet Rope Policy. Really good book written by Michael Port called Book Yourself Solid. He talks about that very concept and how to build that into your business and how to literally book yourself solid. It's a step-by-step business plan for entrepreneurs, and it was voted a must-read by the National Association of Realtors. So if you haven't read that book already, if you're not a reader, don't buy the book, because then you'll just have another thing to sell to the Goodwill at your next garage sale, because you're not going to read it, right? Like, let's be honest. If you're not a reader, don't buy the freaking book just because I said buy the book.
Goodwill's gone.
Goodwill's gone?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Some of them.
They didn't follow, they didn't update their plan either.
Wow. That's interesting. I just dropped a bunch of stuff off there on Monday in Aurora.
Close the next day.
Stays there.
But not all of them. Some of them.
Yeah, interesting. So if you're not a reader, don't do it. Now, if you're auditory and you'll listen to it on a CD or a podcast, download the book and listen to it in your car, right? If you're just one of these people that needs to be in a classroom setting to hear something, then you'll have to take more classes. So there's a channel for everybody, right? I love podcasts. I love watching videos. I love listening to stuff in the car, and I love being in a classroom setting. Reading is hard for me, but I do read as well. I do read a lot of books, but I just find it hard. It's harder today because my schedule is so different, and I'm in the car a lot, so I'll do a podcast and I'll do an audiobook before I'll be able to read a book. It's just more realistic for me. The law of attributes. Sorry, I don't want to miss our speaker. I want to make sure I give him at least 20 minutes to talk to you guys. I love this, the law of candor. When you admit a negative, the prospect will give you a positive. First admit a negative and then spin it into a positive. I'm not the cheapest. In fact, it's going to cost you $10,000 more to hire me. You can sell a home at wholesale or resale pricing, and then you talk about how you generate your ROI. Does that make sense? Did everybody see that? So sometimes when you just admit to people, I'm not for everybody. You just admit it, the law of candor. The law of success. Ego is the enemy of successful marketing. I absolutely love this one. Ego is the enemy of successful marketing. How many people here have seen egocentric advertising by a real estate agent? It's like 90% of some of them are just like, wow, ego, 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 ego. So you need some objectivity. Brilliant marketers have the ability to think like a prospect thinks. That's what makes them brilliant marketers. Marketing is war. The first principle of warfare is the principle of force. The larger the army, the larger the company has the advantage. Stick with the brand. It's bigger than you individually, which is why I'm a big backer of the RE/MAX brand. It's the biggest brand out there. Why wouldn't you leverage it? Duh. It's so simple, right? I look at somebody's career that's just taken off, a guy called, and you can look him up on Facebook, and Wilson Verdugala, and he's in Bradford, and he's RE/MAX, and he uses the RE/MAX colors, and he came out of nowhere, and he's absolutely crushing it up there, and everything he posts everywhere is all RE/MAX brand, RE/MAX brand, RE/MAX brand. He just did a really good post yesterday. He's got 8 new listings in one day. 8. Like,
Dave Lineker one time, he said he's all for personal branding. In fact, he was the one who twisted the whole split and everything and basically changed the industry. But he says, if I'm going into a knife fight, I'm going to take my 300-pound gorilla with me. And I feel like some of us are like, oh, we want to be unique, right? But why not be unique within that
right.
framework?
Take the framework with you and be unique inside of it. And this is what I did on my for sale signs was, you've got the red, the white, and the blue. Well, this white space with your picture, you can put your own little personal brandy stuff here and still keep the framework of the branding that people actually recognize, right? If I'm driving by and I don't notice that it's a RE/MAX sign, and then I go home and I think, oh, there was a sign on that property and I don't know who it was, versus it was a RE/MAX sign, I go home, I don't even need to see the phone number on the sign. I'm going to call the RE/MAX. I'm a consumer. I'm driving by, I see it's a RE/MAX sign. When I go home, I want to call, I want to get information, I'm going to look for a RE/MAX agent. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. We are. But it's ego is a lot of it, right? I love that story. So the white space there is perfect for that. If you want to do your personal branding, take the gorilla with you. I love that. The law of failure. Recognize failure early and cut your losses. I often tell my favorite marketing story. I was 24 years old. I did the postcard. Have you all heard my story? I did the postcard with a picture of Jaws on it. And it said, wouldn't it be nice to have a shark on your side? And then I was on the back, and I thought that was very clever. I was 24. I almost got fired. I dropped 2,000 of them in my farm area. My manager got 3 phone calls. She hauled me into the office. She said, I've just had 3 complaints. Did you send this out? Did you really send this out to the consumer? I said, yeah. Like, I thought it was great. Anyway, it was not great for that audience. I didn't want to waste them because I am, a little frugal. I was in my 20s. I had no money. I spent a lot of money on those. Back in those days, like that was, oh my God. I think I spent $5,000. I had like thousands of these things, and they were double-sided color, which was hard to get, not a lot of print. That was expensive, right? So I took them to the next awards dinner at the company that I was working for at the time. That was before I got promoted to RE/MAX. And you guys are, right? So it was before my promotion, and I was up for a big award. I was like Rookie of the Year and blah, blah, blah. I was 24, 25. And I took them with me, and I put one on every chair. And I mean, it was a big awards ceremony. There was a lot of agents there, and I got there early, and I put one on every single chair. My referral business went up exponentially. I think I booked $75,000 in commission the following year from referrals from other agents. Other agents loved it. See, other agents, we get bitter and twisted and frustrated with the industry from time to time, so we can get humor. We, in fact, like humor. So when you're marketing to other agents, remember that. They could use a laugh. Right? They could use a laugh. They could use something that blows through and goes, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh, I like that. But the consumer didn't see it the same way, right? So, you're going to fail sometimes. Sometimes things that you do are going to fail. Don't be afraid of failure. There is no failure. You did something. You got a result. If you didn't like the result, you changed the approach. It's that simple.
But any marketing is going to offend somebody.
100%, you're never going to please everybody. Just like not everybody's ever going to want to take another class from me after this one. That's okay. I'm good with that, right? It's okay if you never want to take another one of my classes. I won't take it personal, right? It's all good. I'm not for everybody, and I'm okay with that, right? There's some people I only ever see once. Where did they go? I guess they didn't like me. Oh well. The people that do show up, right? Bad marketing. I just want to touch really quickly on contrast and online marketing. Can anybody read the contact information here?
Nope.
Right? Like seriously. And this is like, I pulled this off my iPhone. I actually wanted to get in touch with these people for this product, and I saw it and I went, ooh, there's a good bad marketing example. I'm going to add that to my marketing class. I can't even see their phone number. Now, if you're over the age of 50 or over the age of 60, it's even worse, right? Pump it or dump it. What do you think of that? Oh my God, what year are we in? Right? I look at that and I think, okay, caricatures were, I don't know, 80s? Was it 80s? Or were they ever popular? How about that? So if you're gonna do this picture with the watermarking, which is really a nice touch, don't put it over your face. I mean, I don't know, right? It's bad feng shui probably too, I would imagine. You don't put stuff over your face. It's terrible. And how many times do I really need to see RE/MAX? I don't know. And the other one, Wilfred McKinty and Company. Well, everything's in the name. It says it right there, Wilfred. When was the last time somebody called their kid Wilfred? What year was that? Like 1920? Okay. So you see bad, like, oh my gosh, that is the perfect example of bad marketing. What are the principles here? Like, where do I start?
All I see is rash.
Is it a bird?
I see rash. I see rash.
A rash.
All right.
A rash. If you want a rash, call this guy and then call your doctor.
Full stop shop.
So, what is it? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it does it sell real estate? What is it? I don't know what it is. Oh my God. It's a mortgage broker. It's a home life agent. It's a, what's a camp? I don't know. And what's a rash? I don't know. Oh my God.
It looks like a scarlet letter in yellow.
Right. So that's an example of really bad marketing. Too busy. The rule of thumb is this. If you've never taken any training in marketing, whatever you put together in a marketing piece is 50% too heavy.
Yes.
Take half of it out. And that's, I just saved you 4 years of university.
Even that book says
Right?
that
You can
too.
pay me later. You can pay me later. But if you've never been to school for marketing in the last 5 years, am I right? You just went through you just did marketing. Is all this true?
Yeah.
All this is true. So whatever you would normally do, cut it in half. You have too much on the page. You have too much on your business card. You have too much on your for sale sign. You have too much on everything because that's your natural default. You were just wired that way. It's not your fault. It's how it is. So just cut it in half and you'll be perfect. Got it? Simple. That's a takeaway. That's easy. You can remember that, right? Epic marketing fail. Okay, this is epic. What's epic about this? Oh my God, do I want to send this guy a referral?
He has no bottom lip.
He has no bottom lip. So remember I said to you earlier, people will upload an image on Facebook and even though it didn't size properly, they'll leave it. There's an example. It probably looked really good on his hard drive when he selected it, add image. It was a full part of his face, but it's not optimized for this platform. Right? So you could actually go to YouTube and go, how to optimize a photo for my Facebook banner. And there's a video. Watch it. There is actually. This is the truth. I tell you a true story. It's true. Which one do you like better? Why? What don't you like? Why? I like him. Yeah, he's cute. I'm not going to lie, right? He's actually really nice too. The bottom one's easier to read. So can we talk about fonts? Please don't use italic. I'm going to send you a retirement card. Italic is dead,
Yeah.
right? Can we talk?
Yeah.
It died. There was a funeral. You missed it. Okay. Oh my God, this guy's from Barrie. My son sent me this picture. Chris, if you're listening, I'm showing the picture of the guy with the coat and the glasses. So, you know, what's wrong with this? I mean, it's great. He still has the gold jacket, so you know he's been around for a while.
White hair loss.
Can we talk about sunglasses in photos? You don't wear sunglasses in photos, especially if you're going to put it on a for sale sign. It's okay if you're doing a quick Facebook post and you're on the beach, but really? Good marketing. Remember I said, take 50% of what you would normally put on a page and then put it on the page. It takes more time, more effort, more energy to be concise than it does to put too much crap on a page. So there's your sample. That's fresh, that's clean, the message gets across, it's clear. He's also a top agent in York Region, sells a lot of real estate.
Used to be with Hallmark.
He used to be with Remax Hallmark. And if he ever decides not to be on his own, he will come back to us. I've already talked to him.
And
He's a great guy too, actually. Aside from having great marketing, he's like a really amazing person. And he's a drummer too. Most drummers are amazing. Most musicians are amazing. Right? Right? Or is he a guitarist?
He's a drummer. Peter?
Paul? No, Jay.
Jay.
Peter is a drummer. In fact, his logo is drumsticks, which most people don't make that correlation.
It looks like Peter Pan because he has the K and the R orange out.
That was done on purpose.
I know.
That was part of his marketing, Peter Pan, right? But it's Peter Kirpan.
oh, that's awesome.
Peter Kirpan.
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 That's awesome. He doesn't get stuck, doesn't let you get stuck on, how do you say your name? Just remember this. That's perfect.
People call him Peter Pan. If they're not sure how to say his name, they'll call him Peter Pan because why? He's given them permission. He's given them permission by the way he's marketed. So he's taken a difficult to pronounce name and he's made it work for him. Great. Brilliant. Brilliant. Right? His marketing is clean, it's fresh, it's not complicated. I do think, though, if I were to give him any coaching on this marketing, fax numbers are going by way of the dodo bird. Thank God. I don't even have a fax number on my card. And I had my card done 2 years ago. And I already knew faxes were, going by way of the dodo bird. People are scanning and emailing today. Unless you're a legal office and you're behind the times and lawyers still want you to fax stuff, they won't take emails in a lot of cases from our deal secretary, for example. But a lot of people don't fax.
So you would say that that's a piece of information that doesn't need to be?
No, it's going to be on my website, and it's going to be on my signature line, maybe on my email signature. But I would rather have one phone number, really large, make it easy for my consumer to call me than to have 3 phone numbers on there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So again, back to the less is more. And what's the most important thing that I want the consumer to know here? I want them to know my website. I want them to know my direct line to call me. And I want them to see my tagline, my message, what they can count on me for, who I am, why I'm different. And if I can do that with a picture instead of words, then I'm winning. That's an A+ in marketing. Does everybody get that? Mm-hmm. If you can take who you are as a brand and who you are as a person and put it into an image, it has way better retention value, way better brand recognition, way, way better. Like the balloon is the balloon. The RE/MAX balloon is we rise above our competition. Everybody gets that, right? Mine was an owl, and my tagline had the word knowledge in it. Well, if you break down the word knowledge, you'll see that the word owl is in there, and I used to capitalize that. Knowledge with the owl. That was my tagline. That was everybody knew what it meant, right? Knowledge, owl, blah, blah, blah. I got to get Cameron in here. Online services, Prezi.com. If you want to get into doing online stuff, there's some great stuff available. You can create stuff online with Prezi. It's a great app. It's free. Video marketing. Today's consumers 10 times more likely to watch video than read a blog or an article. We're doing too much text. People aren't reading as much anymore, guys. I got to tell you. Blogging was great when blogging first came out. Remember what I said earlier about the law of marketing? It's better to be first to the market than it is to be better, and everything has a shelf life. Everything has a shelf life. Remember QR codes? QR codes kill kittens. Did you read that book? That was a great book. There's a guy that'll do a whole presentation on the redundancy and the stupidity of QR codes and funny pictures of where people put them. Like a QR code on a billboard at the side of a highway, like you're going to pull out your phone while you're driving, right? Like stupid stuff, right? But people are blowing all kinds of money on marketing stuff that's just ridiculous. Anyway, less text, more video. I have some phenomenal samples of video here, but I'm just going to give you the website to go to rather than show it in class for the purposes of time. But I can tell you this particular video, he did an amazing job. His name is Craig Butcher, and he's out of Alliston, New Tecumseh, so he's not in your trade market, and his website is phenomenal. And he's got testimonial leverage videos from the leaders in the real estate industry that endorse his team. Oh my gosh, you want to have that on your website. And he's got great testimonials from past clients, but he's done it really, really well. So he's my example, my go-to example for the power of leverage in video. If you want to get, I call it the reference from higher authority. If you, the 7 principles of influence, Robert Cialdini, I can never say his last name.
It's called the psychology of influence.
The psychology of influence, and it's the 7 principles of persuasion or something like that. He talks about social evidence and social proof and reference to higher authority and those types of things, and that's what this kind of a video does. He's got David Brown on here. Everybody know who David Brown is? He's like the big guy at RE/MAX Integra that does advertising and promotion. He's got Gurinder on here endorsing him, okay? I don't think they're giving interviews anymore after this, but I'll tell you, he did a phenomenal job. And then he's involved in the CCR networking group, And he's got top agents from around Canada endorsing his team. Phenomenal video. So that's marketing. Mark Ferris' team, also a good example of marketing. He has a spot on his website where he does a video for other realtors. Why should you refer our team? Here's what we'll do when you send us a referral. One of the number one complaints real estate agents have is when they send a referral to somebody else, they never hear back, they don't get follow-up, they don't get paid. True? If you and I used to have systems in place. I was a big networker, big referral agent. I was in the CCR group. That's how I know all these guys. And where was I going with that? I had check marks and I had a plan just like I had for a seller's listing plan. If you sent a referral to me, automatically you got a thank you card with a Starbucks gift certificate. Whether or not it turned into anything or not didn't matter. As soon as that person made a move, you knew about it. I got the person that they referred to me to sign off that I could communicate with you for the Privacy Act, right? That's important. And then as soon as they bought, you would hear from me. I would send you a copy of the trade record sheet. You would never, ever have to ask me for that. So that when you get paid, you can do your trade record sheet on your other end. I want to make it as easy as possible for you to send me referrals. Does that make sense? Nobody does this. Very few. I shouldn't say nobody. That's wrong. 5% of agents have structure and systems in place to handle referral business. Wouldn't it be nice if they were all in one place and you knew where they were? How many people have been disappointed over sending a referral? How many people have never sent a referral? Okay, you want to start getting in the habit of understanding how to do referral business. You could actually never leave your couch and just run a referral-based business. If you have a good network of people, yeah, you're going, yep, you could sit on your couch, you could make a living just having a great network and being able to be a referring agent. Always be marketing, shameless self-promotion everywhere. Prepare a marketing plan every year. I've got, you can get this slideshow, by the way. All classes and slideshows are on the RE/MAX Hallmark Dropbox link. If you go under courses, every course, every slideshow going forward will always be there that you can get it. So it's saving Shant having to email it to everybody. That was becoming such a hassle for him and for you. And so anything that you see in a classroom here will be available on the Dropbox link. So you don't have to worry about taking pictures of slides and all that kind of stuff. I thought Cameron was coming in around 2 o'clock.
He's been waiting outside there.
Oh, has he? Cameron? Are you coming in? Oh, you should know never to wait for me. You got to push your way in my door. Okay. Before you come on, do you have to plug anything in?
Nope, you need the internet.
Okay, perfect. Let's get you set up here. I just want to mention to everybody that I have samples of really cool marketing stuff at the front. So I encourage you. You know how I run how many people have been in my class before? You know how I run my class. I like show and tell. And the bonus points for a lot of my class is after class, because that's when you can stick around and you can look at all the samples that I bring, which I don't take classroom time necessarily, but you're welcome to come up here and have a look at everything. You just can't take it with you. You can take a picture of whatever you want, you just can't take it with you. Okay, come on up here. Thanks for being patient. I had more content to cover than I thought, and these guys kept asking questions.
No, that's fine. No big deal. I heard
Shovel.
your client's perception is your reality. That's so true.
I don't understand what's happening with this.
Oh. Not working?
It's a PC. This is my problem.
Yeah, I know they suck.
They suck.
I hate PCs. Why do they still make them?
Yeah.
Once you go Mac, you never go back.
Just to put the screen open.
What's that?
Yeah, that's good. Does it go full screen? or
Why
no?
isn't it showing up there, though?
I don't know.
You gotta get
just-
Shant. He always. Oh, scroll it over. Slide it all the way over off the screen.
There you
Whoa. It's stupid.
Now go
That
expand.
is stupid.
Yeah. Oh, you.
Now you can't see
Job
it.
security for Shane.
There you go.
No lies. No lies. You can't
So
do
you have to
anything.
look up there to do it.
Okay, so just go to Google maybe, and I'll just type in my URL. It's fine.
Oh, you know why this is, guys? It's because we're live streaming the class. There's agents in Muskoka. Say hi, Muskoka. They're listening to us. So that's why, because they're seeing everything on the screen and so on. Okay, where am I going?
Just go to, go to my website, I guess, CAMURONFAOBS.com. And then I can stop it.
You can make a living just coming to these classes and getting referrals from Muskoka.
Perfect.
Probably the other way around.
I'm gonna give you this.
I got this already. I got one from Shannon.
Okay, so I'm shutting mine off.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I told you everybody that Cameron was gonna come. Cameron does the skins. Remember I told you it's probably good to have one for every day of the week. Like you change your underwear, you should change the marketing on your phone, right? Does that make sense? Like you change your underwear, you should change the skin on your phone. And I'm gonna take it away, Cameron. You're gonna share with us some marketing ideas that you have. Oh, let me introduce Cameron. Cameron Folds is a licensed broker, sold real estate in New York region for many years, and then he was enticed to make his way to California for some reason. I can't imagine it had anything to do with the weather. And spent some time out in California doing some marketing and various things. He's very good on the computer. He's very tech savvy. He's got lots of great ideas. But he's new to speaking, so be gentle. This is not his full-time gig. Cameron's full-time gig is selling real estate. And part of the reason he wants to get to know us is because he works in York region and maybe you don't, and maybe you'll get to know him and like him and send him referrals. Pretty simple, right? Like, let's just put it out there.
Yeah, sure.
Am I doing a good job?
That's
right?
a pretty accurate.
It's pretty accurate. Like,
Yeah.
just call a spade already. And he has this really cool company on the side where he does promotional material, and I caught on to it, and I liked it, and it's cutting edge, and I don't see a lot of other people doing 3D. Like, this is like touchy-feely, like nice stuff, and you can get all of this. So I thought I'd bring him in here because we're talking about marketing and give him a chance to,
Sure.
That's not going to be a lot of the talk. You're going to talk about website stuff, so I'll shut up.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, basically I was a real estate agent. I've been a real estate broker for about 20 years. I've owned real estate. I owned a discount brokerage. I did that for a while, learned quick that that doesn't really work. So I started my career at RE/MAX. Now I'm back at RE/MAX after 23 years, something like that. And I went to California and Nevada. I worked with some people. I developed this idea of creating like a 3D branding and a different process for printing, and it's just a higher level, a more quality product that everyone should be all of their devices should be branded as realtors. I mean, in the States they do it. I have a lot of customers in Vegas and in California that the agents want everyone to know what they do, but they don't always want to tell them. They just want it to be like some subliminal messages, like at listing appointments when they open their laptop and they're working on it, and the customers, the prospective clients staring at this for the whole presentation. It sort of burns in their mind, and they're like, "Yeah, I remember Cameron because he had this billboard in my face the whole time." We were like, just stuff like that. It stirs conversations, whether you're at Starbucks or wherever. Like if you were on an airplane and you knew the guy beside you was a doctor because he said, "I'm a doctor" on his phone, and you should ask him about, would you probably ask him about something that's bugging you? A lot of people would, because it's almost like he's saying, I have this on my phone because I want you to ask me a question. It makes the introduction a lot easier, and I think that's what we do as agents. Also, I always thought about, if I wanted to give a gift to a past client or a client that just bought a house off me and I made a whole bunch of money, we do all the standard stuff, but people forget. You ask them 6 months later, what'd your agent get you? I don't know. So I thought I would take a picture of the house and possibly the clients. I would put it on a scan on an iPad. I would make it really cool. I would add all the texture, make it really high end, and I would give them an iPad that was branded. And I would have my name basically saying, "Thanks very much for dealing with me, you've been great," or whatever, something like that. And I would give them that iPad, because everyone needs an extra iPad in their house. I don't know about you guys, but everyone can always use an extra one. And they're always going to have that around. It's not like in 6 months they're going to go, "I don't know what he gave you." They're probably still using that iPad with your brand in the corner, and their friends are saying, "Hey, where'd you get that? What's that?" "Oh, my agent gave me this," so I can I look up houses or whatever I want to do on it. It's a great client gift. So enough about that. I do some, I have a ton of people right now that are sort of emailing me saying, whether it's from Spain or wherever in RE/MAX, "Can you help me out with my logo?" I do a bit of that, so I can help you out if you need help with your logo, or or your branding or whatever, and then I create all this stuff like I did for Sarah, and I have samples up here. And you know, it's not a big thing. It's a small thing, but it's a small thing that if one person says to you, "Hey, I noticed your phone. You're an agent, right?" Yeah, I'm an agent. So if one person a year says it to you, that's 20, 30 grand. To me, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't my phone say, it's always stuck to my ear, I'm a real estate agent? It's a no-brainer. One person eventually is going to say to me, "Hey, I noticed you work for Remax, right?" And everybody knows that name. So, you know, to me, it was, why wouldn't I want to tell everybody that the pass-through, it's called, every single person that saw me or saw my phone, I should know what I do, and I shouldn't have to be in their face about it, but I'm saying, hey, ask me a question if I'm here, I'm a realtor. If one person a year asks me a question, that $30 investment might generate 30 grand or more. So to me, it was, yeah.
Can I just ask a question then?
Sure.
So I get that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So rather than, that's a billboard, I get that, but would you, do you have any of your clients that have the skinning that actually has a question that creates engagement? Like,
Sure.
ask me how the
Yeah.
market is.
Sure. Call to action.
Something
Like,
like
I have
call
some
to
that
action.
they
Call
go.
it the ADA formula.
They go to Starbucks and it says, "I'm a realtor, ask me a question and I'll buy you a coffee." I mean,
Okay,
just
cool.
crazy stuff like that. And people do, it works. They buy them a coffee and they answer questions about real estate, they get their email address and boom, Bob's your uncle. That's all you need. Once you have someone's email address and the introduction's been made, you can follow up and you feel comfortable doing it. I mean, there's nothing worse than sending a whole bunch of people emails that they don't even know who you are. Because it's about the brand, it's about Remax, but ultimately Remax is the frame and the picture is you. 89% or 84% of people remember the company of the person that sold their house, and like 15% remember the agent. Because there's not enough branding going on for the agents, I think that's probably the problem, and there's not enough follow-up, and that's a whole another seminar thing. So anyway, yeah, that's great. If you want to talk to me about that, I'm more than happy to help you. I'm more than happy to create some kind of branding on some kind of device, whatever you have. They're not very expensive. I don't charge a lot. I'm doing this to make an introduction to people, to try and get referrals, and to help people out. Because if you don't give, you're not going to get. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of agents asking me or anybody asking me for stuff, and it's always ask. It's never, what can I do for you? So I'm starting out by basically saying, hey, here's what I'm doing, and if 10% or 20% of that helps you, maybe one day you'll remember me. I don't know when it comes to referral, because you're going to get my newsletters and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to give first and then hopefully get something in return that might help me in the future. So in terms of my website, okay, so I spent a whole lot of time on my website and developing it, and I think a lot of people, in my opinion, don't, like, I go through all the agent websites, and tons of them, and they're all like these generic, a company made them type websites. And the problem is they never get updated, because after a while you're just like, ugh, I don't want to call the company, they're going to send me a bill for $150, and it's just, you drop it after a while. You're just like, I just don't want to do it. So, because you get $5 to death every time you pick up the phone. So I think some ownership, people need to start taking some ownership about being able to make changes to their own website, because it's important. You got to change stuff almost every week, almost every other day. So that's really important, because perception is, people think perception, in my opinion, after being so long in the business and going into other businesses, perception, where do you think people get perception from? I think nowadays in real estate, they get it from your website. They don't, you got to share a pound of salt. I don't know if you ever heard that. You got to share a pound of salt with someone before you really know them. And that half an hour you spent with somebody, they don't know you. They're going to go to the internet, and they're going to find out what you're really all about. So if you talk a big line, and your internet presence is not such a big line, that says a lot, right? So they have to match now, I think. You and your website have to go hand in hand. Because if one's here and one's here, oops. People are going to spend so much time on the internet. They're going to talk to you for 10 minutes, and they're going to look at your website for 30 and go through it and see if everything you said and you're about is true. So if you have any questions, you can just ask me. So I'm going to go through some of the stuff, because what I think is important when I made this website, and I do everything myself because I want to know how to, do everything that needs to get done. So what I think is important, one of the main things I think is important, is non-related real estate web content. Why? Think about it. If you have a buyer or a seller, they just bought a house off of you, you're probably not going to move for what, 5 to 7 years, maybe more? Why are they going to go to your website ever in the next 3, 4 years. They're not. They have no reason to if it's all about real estate. There's just no reason to go there, right? And so they're, boom. But if you create a lot of non-related web content that might be interesting to them, now you can sell them on going to your website for other reasons other than real estate. I mean, it would be important to me if a guy was selling something, but I could get other really interesting stuff from the website. That's interesting to me, so I might visit that and tell my friends about it. For example, I don't know how much time I have, but there's over 120 pages of content on this website. And I can go through some of it, but for example, okay, I'll just click on here. I don't need to. That's my feature home spot. So if you click on there, you're going to go to another page, which is going to give you a link to 40 different images. It's going to give you a link to aerial photography. It's going to give you a link to realtor.ca and seeing that house on realtor.ca. It's going to give you a link to the seller can click on there, put in their password, go open a calendar, and see everything I've done to sell their house in the last week. So they don't need to say, what's my agent doing? I don't know. I make each client get a private calendar, and every time I do something for their house, I type it in there. They already have the passwords. I put a link on the website at the bottom. It's called a secondary sublink navigation, and they click on that, and they can see their calendar. What have I done? What have you done? Well, I'd put everything there. So every time that I do anything to do with their house, I type it in the calendar on the day that I did it. That's corporate world. That's what salespeople in the corporate world have to do. And I personally think that we should all be doing the same thing, and our customers should expect it. And a lot of them do. A lot of them are in the corporate world thinking real estate agents, oh man. We need to follow more corporate strategies in terms of keeping in touch with our clients. Texting and emailing, and I don't know when I sent you this, boom. You need to have a calendar that's online that they can go to, you can both go to and go, it's all right there, by the day. And it's easy to do.
Cameron, is this Squarespace?
Yeah. In terms of MLS searches, what I did to make it easy is I broke it all down for people. So if they just want Aurora homes, King City, luxury homes, price top to bottom, I just broke it down so their search would be a lot easier. So then you can go to, it takes a little while to re-navigate. So because I prefer to try and stay in the higher end market, I start the prices in Aurora high to low. And that way they can scan through all the prices and do whatever they want and so on and so forth. So that's what this is going to be difficult.
I know.
Oh my God, is this going to be difficult?
Have you touched on having, have you talked about putting non-related real estate stuff on the website?
Yeah, I'm just, there's so much content that, okay, so I'm just going to go through the navigation. So the welcome page we just went through, and that has a whole bunch of pages, including the MLS search. So I'm just going to quickly go through each page to sort of explain briefly what it's about. So there's the welcome page that they're going to get. Now, if you want, so they're going to get MLS search. So this is an IDX. This is an IDX company in Vancouver. So I tie into their IDX. I create all this stuff, and then I upload whatever I want to upload. I also have other areas like Mississauga, Toronto, East, Central. So I break it all down for them. So their search is really easy. These are all links as well. One is basically selling your home, buying a home. This is a whole different thing that takes a whole day to get into. Keeping you informed. I have a lot of video stuff on here. So I'll have the latest news stuff that talks about what's happening in the news. This is the latest December 2015 Market Watch I put on here. So I'm always updating. These are just general video information that you can find easily on the web that tells people what's going on. I do aerial photography as well. So I also figured, okay, I need to learn how to take aerial photography and buy the equipment and do all that stuff because it's fun. It's another hobby of mine. And this stuff is really cool. And there's a million things you can do with that stuff in terms of non-related web content that people are going to be interested in. For example, I'll give you one that I'm working on right now. Everyone knows what like aerial photography is, drones, stuff like that. So let me give you one I'm working on right now. I work in, let's say, Aurora. And I want people to go to my website, families, to go to my website, not because of real estate. just because. So I figured, all right, there's 20 parks in Aurora. Why don't I aerial drone all 20 parks, let the public know with kids that they can go to this link, see all the parks, and make a decision on where they want to take their kids that day, which park they've never seen or never knew existed. So it's a service, right? I'm offering content that they can go to and go, did you hear about that website that has all the parks from like 100 feet in the air? It's really cool. And the address? Yeah, I didn't know that park existed. Yeah, I go, really? What's the website? It's not about real estate. It's about driving, like pulling traffic to your website. So I'm working on that right now. And I had this was a sample of, this is called a sub-navigation. Okay, so for example, this would be where the clients would go to access their calendar of everything that I've done for them on a daily basis. Every single thing that I've done, I open up their calendar, a calendar opens up, I type it in there, boom. I don't know when they go there, but they sure do feel comfortable about knowing, and it's accountability for me, because I know they're going there all the time. So, all right, so let's go back up to, I know Barb touched on this for a bit. Let's go back, sorry, this mouse is really difficult. Okay, about me, about you. So basically a mission statement, like same in companies, you have to have a mission statement. What are you all about? Who are you? What are you about? Where are you from? Where are you going? Right? Why in the business? So I know a lot of people don't like to read these days. They really don't. So I wrote this about me, blah, blah, blah. I created the above video. But my first sentence is, I created the above video to emphasize my understanding of what it's really all about. Life, so to speak. So then I created this video for them. So they're going to go, oh, good, I don't have to read, him, blah, blah, blah. So then what I did is I just said, yeah, I created this video just because my understanding of life. But there's no speakers, so you won't hear it probably, unless there is here.
Did you narrate it, or did you hire a narrator?
No, I do this. It's an After Effects template. And then I drop in the...
I understand about the visual, but the audio?
The audio is basically just music. It's a very... yeah, there's no sound, so I'm not really sure. It's not going to make any... It's not going to make any sense. Yeah, it's basically an emotional pull again. It's saying, wow, this guy gets the process of life, and it's really nice music behind it. It's soft, it's welcoming, and I walk through the stages of life. So I want all people. I want the guy who's getting married to deal with me. I want the people who are really happy to deal with me. I want the families to deal with me, and at the end, I want whatever generation. I just walk through life with them. So it's a bit of and I want them to understand that I get it. This is what I see. This is what I created, and I kind of get where you are, whatever stage you are in your life. I kind of get it, and I'm a good person to deal with. So that's one of my one of my slogans is "Who you hire matters," or "It matters because it matters who you hire," or whatever. So blah blah blah. So I'm gonna go. Sorry. Okay, let's just do this. So then I talk about branding. I found a really good article by John Williams of Entrepreneur Magazine. It talks all about branding. I thought it was great. So I just said, hey, that's a great article. I'm going to put that in there. Yeah, the team, whatever. So, okay, so then we had about welcome, and I got a whole thing on sellers, buyers, pocket listings, or off MLS is a whole different course. Resources, let's go to there. So resources. So I want to have as many resources as possible, okay, so that people will. So I've linked all of the magazines in Canada that have anything to do with real estate. I've linked them all so they can go there and read up or whatever. And it's also, in a subtle way, saying I use all of these avenues to advertise your property too, or some of them, or may use, but I'm aware of them. So basically, it's important, what the client's perception of why I have this here, what their perception is, and what reality really is, it doesn't really matter. If they think I use all these magazines to promote their property, then awesome. Obviously I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's a reference point, and I may or may not. So I think that's important. Feature sheets. I designed some. I got some features.
I just have a question on the magazines.
Sure.
So I can go on those links to the magazines and I can read the magazine online?
Sure, yeah. So it's like there's about 17 different feature sheets here. I'll let the customer pick their feature sheet. Which way do you think? Because a lot of people, you'll show up and do a feature sheet and they'll go, that doesn't make my house look that good. So I'll say, is there any look in particular that you like that you would like me to create for your feature sheets for your house? And a lot of them would say, well, I don't really like this one. I don't want a lot of pictures of my interior, my house floating around. But I really like, more like that. Or I like just two. Or it's interactive. I try to show them, look, these are the templates that I have. Which one do you prefer? Which one do you think would make your house look the best for, just instead of just showing up with stuff, because anytime you show up with anything, people 60% of the time I wouldn't have done it that way. Right?
So if I'm just sort of encapsulating your message to us about marketing, because this is a marketing class and we've
Right.
got about 4 minutes left.
Well, I'm not, yeah.
I would say that what I'm seeing in your marketing here is that you're offering an interactive experience. You have outside stuff on here that if I bought a house with my real estate agent and I've got 7 years between the time that I bought it with you and the time that I call you again, if I do call you, if I remember who you are, I'm gonna have reasons to go back to your website because you have other content on there. And I think that's something for us to think about as real estate professionals, that we think about how are we marketing to people in between the transaction and how resourceful is our website. And I know you've got forms and documents on there as well, like typical forms in a real estate transaction, and the consumer can go on there and download what an amendment looks like, what a waiver looks like, and all of those things.
You can actually edit them.
You can edit
So
them as well.
my thought behind forms was, okay, that just jumps ahead, but some more non-related, I'll just go right back to that. More non-related things. I have a music video of the week or the month that I put on there just because, because I think it's cool. And then they can link through and watch or listen to 50 different top 40 music videos all day if they want. Hopefully they're still on my site. So going back to ARIA Forms. So my thought process behind ARIA Forms was, there's a lot of FSBOs out there, right? And they don't really have access to forms, or they go to whatever store and they try to buy them. My attitude is, let's say I provide the forms, because most likely their house isn't going to sell. But I'm the guy they went to get the form from, to try to do whatever, the checklist or the open house or the deal fell apart. Who are they going to come to? Hopefully they're going to say, hey, I did get the forms off your site. It didn't work out, but can you help me list my house? It's just another small little thing that I'm trying. It's another piece of the market. If I run into a for sale by owner, I say, hey, by the way, if you sell your house and you need any forms, jump on my website and get your form. Oh, really? You have like an agreement of purchase and sale in there? Yeah. So, yeah, sorry.
When you choose this, especially this form, or other links or music or whatever from internet, are you worried about the copyright? Even these forms, I believe, maybe they have exclusively for use of thread members.
Copyright on like what? Forms?
Not only the form, everything you choose.
You know what? I'm sure that there may. Are you allowed to post a YouTube link? I mean, billions of people do it. It's not. No, I don't think that's a concern of mine. If someone ever sent me a cease and desist letter, I would cease and desist. I'm not really worried about it.
The thread forms explain at the bottom that it's exclusively for use of.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Yeah, it's.
But you're not worried about that.
Well, I didn't say I wasn't worried about it. I'm sure that I'm sure that if it's kind of like cold calling, between DNC lists and this list and RICO and don't call expire. I mean, who knows anymore? It's so hard to figure out what you can and can't do. I'm just trying to make an honest living and provide information to people that will help them and help me.
Maybe you can watermark it.
They go on the ARIA site.
Yeah.
They can pull a plain language form if they want.
Yeah, they can
Sure.
pull it on ARIA.
Yeah, I don't think it's like.
Does anybody have to leave? Because it's 3
Yeah, if you got to
o'clock.
leave, you can go.
Does anybody have to go? I just want to maybe give a time here where
Yeah.
if you have to go, you can go. But how about Cameron and I will be here for anybody that wants to look at stuff or have questions. You're more than welcome to stay. I'll be here for an hour. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
And do you have your box of cards?
Yeah, I do. It's right here.